Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
Let's be real here, 2018 was definitely a year to forget when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. More rule changes, missing products galore, and FTKs were so out of hand, I even deemed 2018 the year of the FTK. While the tail end of the year definitely did improve, even prominent players and Yu-Gi-Tubers alike have admitted that at many points in the year, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was borderline unplayable. And while Konami did some good things within 2018, I'll just be giving you my picks for the worst and most controversial decisions that they made throughout the year. Just for clarification, I'm not saying I necessarily have a problem with everything on this list, and once again, I will be considering the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community as a whole and the way they felt about these decisions. With introductions out of the way, welcome to Konami's top 10 biggest and most controversial Yu-Gi-Oh! Mistakes of 2018, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hierarchy. Number 10, making the first ever YCS in Japan a singles tournament. Let's start the list off with one of Konami's most bizarre decisions, maybe in the last decade. When Konami announced they would finally be bringing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship series to the country that invented the game, many were incredibly thrilled. After all, the series had regular stops in Europe, North America, and Oceania. Heck, it had even expanded recently to Latin America as well. So why on earth would the birthplace of Yu-Gi-Oh! Not have these events too? Well, long story short, back in the summer of 2018, Konami announced the historical first ever YCS that would be taking place on Japanese soil. They were also expecting a huge turnout since this was going to be such a monumental event, and even capped the attendance at 2,000 players. But then the incredibly deflating news was revealed that this was going to be a singles tournament. This immediately made the event far less credible from a competitive standpoint, and even made many foreign duelists reconsider going at all. Sorry, OCG duelists, maybe next year. Number 9, limiting Gem Knight Master Diamond instead of banning Gem Knight Lapis Lazuli. You know we weren't going to get very far before we had to start talking about FTKs on this list, and unfortunately the 3-time YCS Gem Knight FTK lives to this day because of this poor decision. Look, this one isn't complicated. When Konami discovered the Gem Knight FTK in the early parts of 2018, they obviously were inclined to hit it on the ban list, as their track record of getting rid of FTKs has shown. However, for some reason, they didn't actually hit the card that allows you to do the initial burn damage. Instead, they limited Gem Knight Master Diamond, thinking that with only one copy, players would not be able to reach the damage needed to actually pull off a game-winning turn 1 play. However, they were completely wrong. With cards like Nightmare Unicorn, or even something like Defusion for that matter, we have actually seen this deck continue to top YCS events in Europe even after Master Diamond was hit on the ban list. This is what happens when you try to outthink everyone else in the room. Number 8, renaming the Skyfame Brigade Archetype into Fur Hire. I was actually pretty thrilled when Konami finally announced that we were going to be getting a pirate archetype. It was way overdue in my opinion, especially considering the popularity of franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean and One Piece over the years, and the Skyfame Brigade actually looked pretty promising with their Yosenju-like swarming playstyle. The artwork on the cards looked pretty damn awesome too, but in typical Konami fashion, you just knew they were going to find some way to screw it up. And that of course came in the form of their incredibly cringeworthy name, For Hire. Not only is it just, well, a bad pun, but Konami even took it a step further by having this pun supersede the problem-solving card text. You know, the thing that was created to literally help us understand how cards work, but hey, who actually needs to know how to play your cards correctly when you got puns?
I see what they did there. Oh, fucking with PSCT for the memes. That is a new one.
Number 7, not releasing the Structure Deck Master Link. If you know Konami's history when it comes to structure decks in the TCG, you know that they're pretty flaky when it comes to these things from time to time. It's been incredibly well documented just how much of a debacle the TCG went through with the ever delayed release of 2017's Pendulum Domination. Well, Konami is back at it again, but this time for the Structure Deck Master Link. This product was released between Power Code Link and Soul Burner in the OCG, but that's clearly not going to happen as it has no official release date in the TCG currently, and considering the structure that Soul Burner currently has a mid-February 2019 release in the TCG, this means that Master Link is going to be delayed at a minimum of 6 months. So when are we going to get cards like Shooting Code Talker or the amazing Counter Trap Signet Conflict? Who the hell knows outside of Konami? My best guess would be maybe around this time next year, which of course would put it over a year late in the TCG. Number 6, Konami banning Steven Trifanowski, aka Triff Gaming, for 1 year. Are you kidding me? Konami, he's been a loyal customer for 10 years and I demand an explanation. My name is Mega Capital G and I am a YouTuber that promotes the well-being of your game and an avid player of your game. He did nothing wrong and gets banned for a year and he didn't even get an email or an explanation? What the fuck, are you kidding me? He did not do anything wrong and he gets banned and not even an explanation. He mistakenly made a joke on a YouTube video boasting about how he used time to his advantage with Gaga Cowboy, but anyone with a brain would realize it was clearly 10,000% theatrical and said out of proportion with absolutely zero truth. Number 5, banning Maxx. This is a decision that the community was fairly split on at the beginning, but as 2018 continued on and the onslaughts of FTKs seemed never ending, people started to change their mind on this very divisive card. Some even claiming that many of Yu-Gi-Oh's FTKs over the year and Firewall Dragon would not have been such a problem if we had Maxx to counter the amount of mass special summoning that was commonly done in the meta. After all, Maxx is currently unlimited in the OCG and is the single most played monster in their entire meta game, and they seem to be just fine with that situation. In fact, when they did actually put Maxx at semi-limited status, it went back to 3 on the very next OCG ban list. Maxx is without a doubt one of the most divisive Yu-Gi-Oh cards in history, and banning it was incredibly controversial. Number 4, the Danger archetype as a whole. In last year's version of this video, I talked about how bad the TCG exclusive archetypes Vendread and Formula Athletes were, and how they probably would never amount to much from a competitive standpoint. Well, Danger is the exact opposite, but in the absolute worst way. Keep in mind, I very publicly said this archetype was going to be broken within a few days of them being revealed, and it's simply because none of their in-hand effects are once per turn. If you look at them in a vacuum, they don't appear to be all that powerful. You either summon them and draw a card, or you discard them and you activate a 1-for-1 effect. But the problem occurs within 2 scenarios. Number 1, you splash other archetypes with them, where the other cards also want to be discarded. We all know Konami has made about 1 million of those: Dark World, Shadows, Orcus, Burning Abyss, just to name a few. Or number 2, you basically play every Danger monster at 3, and you continually activate their effects, seemingly never running out of cards, no matter what the result of the effect is. This is how the /draw FTK works. Either way, the Danger archetype has led to multiple competitive FTKs within just a few months, and the TCG design team is definitely taking some heat for their creation. Number 3, no Link Vrains Pack for the TCG. The announcement and subsequent revealing of the Link Vrains Pack was one of the most celebrated and exciting things that Konami has done since the start of the Vrains era. One of the biggest fears of Master Rule 4 is that dozens of archetypes simply wouldn't be able to function nearly as well as they did, simply because they didn't have access to multiple extra deck monsters on the field at the same time without first having to commit resources for Link summoning, which obviously they were never designed to do in the first place. But with the announcement of the Link Vrains Pack, Konami revealed that they would be making Link monsters exclusively for older archetypes to help them transition to Master Rule 4. And to Konami's delight, everyone was happy. Old decks got better and will become playable again. Sadly, this product was never released in the TCG. Instead, we had cards randomly imported throughout the year in booster sets. This probably would not have been such a big deal if we had actually gotten all the cards within the calendar year. That's right, a full year has gone by and we still haven't got all the cards from the original Link Vrains Pack 1, let alone the second pack has already been released in the OCG. Number 2, the new time rules and end of match procedure. No one saw this coming. If having to learn last year's Master Rule 4 wasn't bad enough and everything that came with Link summoning, Konami decided to again flip the game on its head completely and change the end of match procedure for sanctioned events. In the past, games that were not decided in the standard 40 minutes would actually give each player an additional 3 turns in which to win the duel. It was incredibly fair and a balanced system, but after years, hell maybe even a decade of tournaments going over schedule, Konami scrapped that for a final phase idea instead. This gives an overwhelming advantage to the turn player as they have the opportunity for the last battle phase in the game, and this has been one of Konami's most criticized decisions ever.
Well, we've run out of time. But how close was that? If you had been able to complete that attack, I would have lost. But I didn't, did I?
And finally, to our number 1, taking so long to ban Firewall Dragon. All the memes, all the talk, all the conspiracy theories created by, well, me. Konami could have ended it all by simply banning this one card. It became incredibly evident post Extreme Force that Firewall Dragon was by far the strongest Link monster in the entire game, and that summoning it almost always led to victory. However, Konami decided to essentially ignore the elephant in the room for nearly an entire year in both the OCG and TCG regions with really no valid reasoning or explanations. I mean, it was completely obvious even to the blind that at certain points of the year the card was single-handedly making the game unplayable, and yet Konami sat by and did nothing. Finally, after complaints from pretty much the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community, they decided to ban the card, but at that point the damage had already been done, and it felt to me like 2018 was a completely lost year. So let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. If there were other big Konami mistakes or controversial decisions you guys thought that I missed out on, leave those in the comment section below as well. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.